Today we are going to work through a simple technique that will give your melodic lines more movement and chromaticism. Some refer to this technique as enclosures because it literally encloses the chord notes, but really it's as simple as sounding the notes either side of a chord note before actually sounding the chord note. The best way to see how this technique works is to see it in action. Here is a simple chord progression with a melody that uses only notes of the chords. So let's see how we can add some rhythmic interest and chromaticism to this melody by using the enclosures technique. So let's start with the very first note in the melody, the G natural. We are going to enclose this note with the note below, followed by the note above the G. So we'll start with F, but we'll make it an F sharp. Even though the F sharp doesn't belong to the F major key, it's enclosing the G, so we can use that chromatic note. So F sharp. Now let's go to the note above the G, which is an A, and only then do we resolve to the G natural, the chord note. We can do something similar with the C natural in the melody. This time let's reverse the order. So we go the note above. The note above C is D, followed with the note below. Now in this case, I'm again going to use a chromatic note, which will be a B natural. It doesn't belong to the key, but it does enclose the C. And after the B natural, then we go straight on to the chord note, which is C. If you look at this melody, it's a much more colourful flowing passage than the one we had at the outset. Now, for a slightly more complicated example, here's another chord progression with a melody over the top using only notes of the chord. And before we start, I'm just going to highlight the notes that we will enclose with an asterisk at the top. So there's quite a few of them. Let's start with the first note. So it's a B natural. We're going to enclose it with the note below, A sharp, and again we're using a chromatic note here. Then we follow it with the note above, which is a C natural, and then we resolve to the B. In the next bar, we're going to enclose the A natural, G sharp below, B natural above, and then the chord note. In this time, I've actually changed the rhythm slightly, but that's something that we should always be looking at to create more interest as well. And we can do the same thing in bar 3 with the B natural. Let's enclose that note. So we'll start with an A sharp below, C above, and then resolve to the B. And now we move on to bar 4. This is perhaps the most interesting bar because we're going to enclose both notes in this bar. So the E natural, let's go above first, F sharp, below, D sharp, chromatic note there, and then we resolve to the E. And then looking forward to the C, I'm going to go one note below, B natural, one note above, D natural this time, and then resolve to the C. If we look to the following bar, let's enclose the D natural. So we go one note below, C sharp. Again, that's a nice chromatic note that we're adding to the melody. One note above, which is the E natural, and then we resolve to the D. And then we're going to scoot right across to the second last bar of the composition. We need to enclose the E natural, so D sharp below, F sharp above, and resolve to the E. And now all that's left to do is enclose the final note. So prior to that note, F sharp below, A natural above, resolve to the final note G. Like all techniques, the more you practice, the better you get. So when you first start to use enclosures in your writing, start simply and then experiment to see how colourful you can make your melodies sound. So to recap, number 1, in your melody, identify some chord notes you wish to enclose. Number 2, precede these notes with the 2 notes that are either side of your selected note. It does not matter if you go higher than lower or the other way around. Try both ways and see what sounds best. Also, don't be afraid to use chromatic neighbouring notes outside of the tonal scale. These will add colour to your melodies. And finally, let your ears determine whether the use of the technique has been successful. If you are not happy with the way it sounds, keep experimenting with pitch and rhythm. There will be an effective solution.